And the federal government says it is putting sustainable mechanisms in place to build a $1 trillion economy by 2030 through financial inclusion. Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Office of the Vice President, Ibrahim Hadija, disclosed this in Benin at the 8th Annual National Conference of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents in Nigeria. He said the mechanisms are expected to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. The Deputy Chief of Staff reiterated the government's commitment to pursuing economic and financial inclusion with all sector players to achieve its goals. In his goodwill message, Governor of Edo State, Mr. Governor Obaseki, said AMMBN played a vital role in promoting financial inclusion as it bridged the gap in financial accessibility and drive economic growth in Nigeria. Now, the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, says a large number of Nigerians had stopped complaining about the high petrol prices because they no longer needed to run their generators before enjoying electricity. The minister stated this in Lagos during his keynote address at the ongoing 2024 edition of the Nigeria Energy Exhibition and Conference. We have details in this report.
Adequate power supply is an unavoidable prerequisite to any nation's development, and electricity generation, transmission, and distribution are capital-intensive activities requiring huge resources of both funds and capacity. In the prevailing circumstances in Nigeria, where funds availability is progressively dwindling, creative and innovative solutions are necessary to address the power supply problem. This is another gathering of players in the energy space, top government officials, investors, among others. They are here for the Nigeria Energy 2024 conference with the theme, Breaking Barriers in the New Energy Era, Clean, Reliable, and Sustainable. Conversations focused on possible ways of adopting cleaner and more reliable energy sources to help improve the economy and help achieve industrialization.
It was the target of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to achieve a 6,000 megawatt of power by December 2024. And to God be the glory today. We are generating, transmitting, and distributing an average of 5,000 megawatts of power with a peak generation for the year 2024.
Another message from this conference is that with proper administration and implementation of right policies, Nigeria can increase electricity generation and distribution, which will in turn better the lives of the citizenry.
Nigeria to grow, for other sectors to grow in Nigeria, the power sector needs to work. So you can't talk about manufacturing if you don't talk about power. You can't talk about development if you don't talk about power. You can't talk about, we have a lot of hospitals that are coming up, you can't talk about them without talking about power. So power is very critical to all everyday activity in life.
We're not saying that we'll be able to solve all the problems, but we are getting to it step by step. It's not just a platform where they can discuss problems, but also get together and see what can be done to solve those issues as well.
Experts here say that the frequent system failure at national grid is inevitable due to the outdated infrastructure, a development that the present administration intends to tackle head-on.
Let's look at global markets. China's stocks rose today as the central bank officially launched a swap facility aimed at boosting the equity market. However, shares elsewhere in Asia were mixed in the wake of data confirming a slowdown in the world's second largest economy. Mainland Chinese blue chips were up 0.78%, reversing early declines after the People's Bank of China said the new securities fund and insurance swap facility would start operating that day. Hong Kong's Hang Seng traded 1.36% higher, getting an additional lift from technology shares following solid earnings a day earlier at Taiwanese chipmaker and NVIDIA supplier TSMC. Taiwan's equity benchmark climbed 1.84%. Australia's benchmark sagged 0.89%, and South Korea's Kospi slipped 0.66%. Japan's Nikkei gave up early gains to be flat. New data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that China's gross domestic product grew 4.8% year-on-year in the first 3 quarters of 2024. According to the new NBS data, the GDP reached around 94.97 trillion naira yuan, representing about $13.33 trillion in the January-September period. In the third quarter, the economy expanded 4.6% year-on-year and rose 0.9% quarterly. The deputy head of the NBS, Mr. Sheng Layon, stated that despite a complicated external environment and emerging challenges at home, the Chinese economy posted generally stable performance. In a breakdown, industrial output climbed 5.8% compared with a year earlier in the first 9 months, as robust increases were seen in equipment and high-tech manufacturing industries. The service sector reported continued recovery with a 4.7% increase in added value.